Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Trevor Lane here. You can follow me on Twitter at Trevor_Lane, on Instagram at Trevor Lane NBA, joined by Keith Smith. Follow him at Keith Smith NBA over on the Twitter machine. Keith, man, a couple of fairly negative stories. Well, I guess depending on your perspective here. Let's start off with Luke Walton let go by the Sacramento Kings. I say depending on perspective because I have seen Kings fans who are celebrating here. But Luke Walton let go. The first coach to lose his job this season looks like Alvin Gentry is going to be the guy to take over in Sacramento. Was it time for this to happen with the Kings? Was it maybe past time for this to happen? What were your thoughts on the Kings making this move?
Yeah, I think it should have happened in the offseason. I don't like when you bring in a new coach. It's Alvin Gentry who's been there. He's going to be the interim head coach for the rest of this season. He was there as an assistant. He's also under contract for next year. So my guess is this is somewhat of an audition to see can they play well enough that it'll keep the job into next year. But I just don't like when you could have taken your off season, albeit a shorter one than usual, but still better than it was 2 seasons ago. You could have let the new coach install a system, have some say in personnel, really build this thing out and go. And yet they hung on to Luke Walton when I think we all knew where this was headed, one way or the other, unless they had really come out and shocked everybody. And, if they were 11-6 now, of course he wouldn't be fired, but instead they're 6-11. They've lost 3 straight. They want to say they've lost like 8 out of 10 or something like that, or in that range. And that they've now kind of fallen. It's only a game and a half. So it's not anything crazy, but they're now out of the play-in picture in the West. So, this is let's try to get a new coach in here. Let's salvage this. Let's try to get at least into the play-in tournament, give ourselves a chance. They are Alvin Gentry is now going to be, I believe, the 11th coach in the last 15 years for the Kings. In those 15 years, that's the playoff.
I mean, the Kings have
they have not made the playoffs since 2006.
Torn through coaches. I mean, what Rick Adelman was their last long-term coach, right? Ever since then, it's been just a revolving door. You mentioned the Kings are 6-11. Their point differential right now is a -2. It's early still in the season to where that may not be the best indicator, but that on the surface suggests that they're probably a little bit better than where they are right now. So I'd say there's a decent chance that even if Luke Walton had stayed, they probably would have moved up in the standings a bit. And now Alvin Gentry comes in and they may move up in the standings, and people will then point to that as being, oh, see, Luke Walton was the problem. That being said, I don't think Luke Walton was doing himself any favor. There were some questionable comments from some players on the team, Tristan Thompson. It didn't seem like the Kings were fully behind Luke at this point. And like you said, it was probably the right move to make during the offseason. So, yeah.
Yep. And things are so bad in Sacramento. Did you see the story of the fan?
I saw
throwing
that
up on the court.
My goodness.
So I mean, that one just makes me laugh. It happened near the Utah bench. The guy he basically puked all over the court. They had to delay the game for 20 minutes. There's a video and pictures of the Kings mascot. I think he just jumped in there to make it funny, but he's in there wiping up puke on the sideline and everything. And then Rudy Gobert's quote is hilarious. He says, I actually made eye contact with him. He was smiling. He was smiling and throwing up at the same time.
Wow.
So I saw that story after I had shut down, as you know, Celtics Lakers post game. Then I shut down and then went into doing other stuff. It was and then Saturday, the Celtics played. I did that, shut it down again when this happened. And I didn't see this until midday Sunday because we were in a soccer tournament with our daughter. And I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, what the hell happened in this game that made this guy puke all over the court?
The Kings were that gross. So, the Kings play on the court was that gross that he threw up. And then Luke Walton was gone because he's making fans throw up.
Make the fans throw up.
You're out.
You gotta change something.
You're out.
That's it. They're puking on the court. You gotta change something. I just love the idea. He was smiling and throwing up at the same time.
He was happy to get all of that bad basketball play that he had witnessed out of his system. That's what was happening. The bad basketball he had ingested was Kicked out of his system, I guess. Oh gosh, this is awful. Um,
All right, let's go to a story that probably wants to make Nuggets fans
oh
throw up a little bit.
man.
Michael Porter Jr. We went out with a back
Yep.
injury a couple weeks ago.
We
He
saw it on that.
something didn't look right. He went up for a
That's
layup.
what I was saying. That play where
What's that?
you could see that he just didn't. He
Yeah,
had no lift. He
yep,
couldn't. He physically could not dunk the
yep.
basketball in that
Couldn't.
moment.
Yep. And he
Yeah.
immediately grabbed at his back, tried to play, had to leave. Now, Mike Singer of the Denver Post has reported that he has a nerve issue in his back that could force him to miss the entire 21-22 season, so the rest of this season. And he even says Porter could undergo another back surgery to address the issue. He's already had two back surgeries already. This is what caused
Hmm.
him to slide in the draft with the back problems. Then he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good. He missed his entire rookie years. They were strengthening his back following the second surgery, and then looked pretty good when he came back his second year, but his rookie year. And then last year looked great. Didn't look like foundational piece for the Nuggets. They're moving it forward enough so that the Nuggets signed him to a max contract extension, which will kick in next year at about 29.7 million. And there's a lot of people have been asking me, does this have the Joel Embiid protection in it, like Joel Embiid's contract
Hmm.
had with the 76ers? And the answer is no. It has some protection in it for the Nuggets, but it's not quite to the level of Embiid's, where with Embiid's, there was a couple different points where the Sixers basically could have got out of it completely clean. What it is the final season, 2026-27, Porter is set to make $39.3 million in that season in the final year, that 5-year max. It's 12 million guaranteed. It is 17 million guaranteed if he makes the All-Star team once in the prior
Hmm.
year, so anytime between 2022 and 2026, or if he makes it twice, and then there's other criteria met, which are all basically tied to games played, as one of the criteria. Then it becomes fully guaranteed.
That's
So
not much.
there's a little bit of protection for the Nuggets to
But
get out of there,
4
but
years
not
from now,
much. I mean, it's
I mean,
yeah, 4 years from exactly. So the next 4 seasons, no matter what, he's under contract for about 133.3 million over the next 4 years. He is one of three max players on dev books next year, along with Jokic, Jamal Murray, and then you've got Aaron Gordon, 18 million. You've got Will Barton at 14.4 million. So very, very expensive team in Denver, and it's scary. Back injuries ruin the career of
mhm.
my favorite basketball
Yeah.
player of all time. So I'm always a little leery about those.
So here's my question with this situation, Keith. We talk about disabled player exception. Is that if it looks like the season is over for him? And number one, is that the path they go down? And then you mentioned the max extension doesn't kick in until next year. So his salary
Mm-hmm.
this year is only what, 8 million and change. Even
Not even
it's
5.2.
5.2 this season. I
Yeah,
had it at 8. Okay.
5.2.
My
Yeah,
goodness. So you're not looking at, if you're a Denver Nuggets fan, even if you get that disabled player exception, it's not going to be like they suddenly have a lot of money to absorb a bigger contract or anything like that. This
correct.
is a situation where he might just be gone, and at best maybe you find somebody to help fill in a little bit, but it's not going to be any significant salary coming in or anything like that.
Yeah, how it works with the disabled player exception, for those who are curious, it is the players you get the max of half of the player's salary or up to the non-taxpayer mid-level exception amount. So what that means is the in Michael Porter Jr.'s case is they'd get about 2.6
Yeah.
million or so, 2.65 million is what they would get. They would be able to then use that to sign one player. Now your challenge is at this point in the year, that's not all that much higher than the the minimum exception,
Hmm.
especially for a veteran player.
Right.
So, but it doesn't come with an extra roster spot. It doesn't come with any of that. So that's something Denver would have to work around as well because they do have a full roster right now. So my guess is they're just gonna have to ride this out. They have pretty good forward depth
Yeah.
because you've got Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green. JaMychal Green can play the four for you. PJ Dozier can play some three. Will Barton play some three. So they're okay. The bigger problem is Jokic can only do so much,
Yeah.
and
You're already missing
Jamal
Murray.
Murray's not there. Yeah, you start to where's your offense going to go? Is it going to become harder? And it kind of not even kind of it. I'll just say it direct. It stinks because this Nuggets team was a team where it looked like it was all kind of coming together for
Right.
them after the Aaron Gordon trade. It felt like it was all right, this team's the next big contender in the West, and they're gonna, be right up there as the Suns kind of came into there, being with the Lakers, with the Clippers, with the
Hmm.
Jazz, and then of course the Warriors now back in it. It looked like who take your pick out of those. I think we even might have said that at the beginning of the
Yeah.
year, and now it's you're left kind of wondering, all right, where is this going to go? There's still be a playoff team, but like, how good can you really be? And then trade. A couple of people said, could they do trades and all that? I mean, sure, yeah, you could, but like, with what? Like, who are you moving
They
here?
made
Because
their big moves
it
already.
gets a little hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you already kind of did that. Yep.
Rough for the Nuggets and for Michael Porter Jr. as well. Hopefully, he is able to recover from this, and again, back issues scary, and hopefully something that he is able to make a recovery from. Hopefully, we do see him again this season. Other injury news that we've got here: Markieff Morris expected to miss 10 games due to whiplash from the Nikola Jokic shoulder tackle, whatever we want to call that. When he hit Morris in the back. This was what, a week and a half ago that this happened, and Markieff Morris is still dealing with the whiplash from that effect. I mean, we see this in car accidents, and let's face it, Nikola Jokic is kind of like getting hit by a car. So maybe not a huge
Yeah.
surprise, but not something you see a lot of in the NBA, a whiplash injury.
No, and Morris has the history of neck issues that have kept him out in the
Hmm.
past. Just kind of further testing the Heat's depth. That's a spot they don't have a lot behind Bam Adebayo and PJ Tucker. You've got Dwayne Dedman, but he's truly a five only.
Hmm.
So backup four kind of has been more Jimmy Butler. When Tucker needs to go out, they just slide Butler up a spot there because they don't have a guy to just step in there. They don't have a backup four and they don't really have a backup point guard. Those are the two kind of holes there, and they've got an open roster spot, but limited ability to spend. Well, we'll see where that goes for Miami, but their depth's going to be tested for another week or so.
We also have Nicholas Batum is dealing with COVID protocols, and according to Ty Lue, he's going to be out a while. That's not great
Yeah,
to
it's
hear.
Yeah, talk about lack of forward depth. I
Right.
mean, the other Marcus Morris is still out for the Clippers. Kawhi, of course, is out. So they started Amir Coffey last night. He's more of a 2-3 than he is a 3-4. They're just asking a lot more. Paul
Hmm.
George. So they're really going to be pushing. These guys are probably going to need to play Justice Winslow quite a bit more now, just to get a little bit more forward size on the court. But this is a team that against the Jazz, they did pretty well playing four smalls around one big. So my guess is they just kind of go back to that look to survive for as long as you need to until you start getting some of these guys
Yeah,
back.
absolutely. Nick Claxton for the Nets out with an
Yeah,
undisclosed
this is scary.
illness for several weeks. He's going to be out. That's like, obviously they're not saying exactly what it is, but
Hmm.
that's not good. An undisclosed illness, and it's going to be weeks. We're not talking about, this isn't just like a cold or he got the generic flu or something like that. There's something else going on here.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a quote from him. So just give me one
Uh-huh.
second. I will find it. What he said was so he was actually at a charity event. He said, I'm in the ramp up stage right now. I'm reconditioning myself. I got sick. I lost a lot of weight. I've put the weight back on. I'm feeling good, hoping to be back within the next couple of weeks. He said, I was sick. That's the extent I want to go with. I was sick, but I'm feeling better. I'm getting back to where I need to be with that. So yeah, it's that's it. Really is kind of scary. If we go back now, it's been kind of lost. But he was their starting
Yeah.
center for the Nets. He's their best defensive big by far on the roster because Blake Griffin's not that. LaMarcus Aldridge is not that. Paul Millsap has been out for a while now. Looks like he's probably losing a step. Let's see. No, thought maybe that was it, Trevor. I got the Twitter notification. I thought maybe that was the news we're waiting on if there's suspensions, as we talked about in our earlier episode. But yeah, it's let's see what that what that looks like for the Nets. They're just gonna have to kind of keep getting through it. With that, LaMarcus Aldridge had some interesting comments too. He talked about how coming off the bench is new for him. He's still figuring it out, and it's not as comfortable, and those kind of things. And that makes sense for a guy who has done nothing but start for his entire career. So yeah, we're gonna see, where all this kind of comes down to. But yeah, scary stuff for Nick Claxton there. So hopefully he is right and he is on the mend and we'll be back soon.
This is just like the negative episode. I'm kind of realizing that as I'm looking over our show notes here. We've got injury to Michael Porter Jr., coach gets fired, Whiplash, Batum, Claxton. And now let's finish things up with, Canada. Canada won't allow unvaccinated athletes into the country after January 15th. Now, again, it's been reported that the vast majority of the NBA is vaccinated. And obviously one of the more high...
You want to say we were down to like 15-ish players.
So, and Kyrie's not playing anyway. Like that would be the big headliner one, right? If Kyrie was playing and then the Nets had a game in Canada, in Toronto, like, okay, that would be a story there. But we're dwindling here in terms of the number of players who are unvaccinated. So I don't know how big of an impact this will make, but still, it's something to keep an eye on. January 15th, as of that date, no unvaccinated athletes can be allowed in. Now, obviously, that's going to apply to other sports as well. So you can think about, the NHL, what that might mean there. But the bottom line is for the NBA, I don't think this is going to be a huge deal, unless, of course, you are one of the 10, 15 or so players that are still unvaccinated.
Yeah, 16 home games for the Raptors after that January 15th date. So, a couple teams, it looks like just eyeballing it are in there twice. Looks like Boston goes there. No, Boston doesn't because their other time is before that, but Boston goes there once late in the year. Atlanta, Philly, Houston. They've got a little homestand at the end of March. So, yeah, it's we're going to find out, right? We'll find out real quick if there's players. If for some reason Kyrie is able to return to the Nets before then, the Nets do play in Canada on the, let's see, I just lost it, March 1st. Okay. So that would be after this date. So, maybe even if he is back somehow, but unvaccinated, he wouldn't be able to go there. So, and before people yell and scream that the NBA has to do something, the NBA can't trump, just like they can't trump any local rules in
State
the municipalities. Or Brooklyn, in the States, they certainly can't in Canada. That's not a thing they can do. So it's just, it is what it is. And you gotta kind of deal with it and move on.
Yep. So we'll see. We'll find out. I mean, we don't have a very good sense of who is not vaccinated in the NBA right now, but perhaps this will be revealing. It's also possible that the handful of players who are unvaccinated don't have a game in Toronto during that after January 15th. So we may not find out. We'll see.
Yeah, there's only 16 of them. So so there's a good chance that there's definitely something there. But let's end on a little bit of a positive.
Oh, good.
I don't want to, this show is just in general, kind of a weird week for the NBA because there's no games on Thursday because of the Thanksgiving holiday. They steer clear of the NFL on that day and a half for years. So that means there's kind of these loaded schedules on Monday, whole bunch of games, loaded schedule on Wednesday, 13 games on Wednesday. So good opportunities on those nights to be kind of bouncing around the league pass style. And then this is the positive I was going to, especially we have a lot of international viewers. The Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we get some early tips. So
Oh,
our
nice.
international friends can see some stuff. So yeah, the Black Friday early tip is Pistons Clippers. Then Saturday, 6 o'clock, Timberwolves 76ers. And then Sunday, we've got the afternoon game, Warriors Clippers, which is actually a pretty good one at 3:30. And then there's a whole couple more too: Bucks Pacers, Celtics Raptors, Kings Grizzlies, all before 7 p.m. Eastern. So
Hmm.
I stretched there to find a positive, but I we had to do something. We know we have a lot of international friends who watch and
Absolutely.
listen. So we'll be happy for those guys. So we're pretty psyched for them.
Gotta like that. Okay, so there is a positive to end on, but and
Tried.
I guess
Oh,
what
here's one. Jalen
what
Brown's probably going to play tonight.
there you go.
That's a positive.
That's a good
He's
one.
probable. Him and Robert Williams. Celtics, knock on wood, back to basically full health
Yeah.
starting tonight, which is they've won a couple in a row now. That they have Houston, so God forbid they lose that one. That'll be a
Mm.
miserable Thanksgiving should that happen. The Rockets are on a 14-game losing streak coming into town, so yeah, so Celtics getting healthy. So we'll there's a real true positive.
There
I found one.
there's certainly a positive there. Always want to hear about players getting healthy, and also positive. We appreciate all the support that we've gotten here on this channel and this show. Make sure if you're not doing so already, you do subscribe. Don't forget to turn on notifications as well, and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever. We do appreciate if you rate, review, and subscribe over there. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap things up for today. Appreciate it. Till next time, stay safe and see ya.